When an avoidant hurts you, they always assume they know exactly how you'll respond. They expect the explanations, the overthinking, the long messages, the emotional pursuit. They count on your reaction, and the reason why they count on your reaction is because your predictable response is what gives them control over the dynamic and confirms their internal narrative, that emotional people are unstable, and that distance is justified, which is why they can hurt you and then retreat into their protective shell, knowing that you'll do exactly what you always do: chase, explain, plead, or perform emotional labor trying to fix what they broke, essentially allowing them to avoid accountability while maintaining the upper hand, because they've correctly predicted your moves like a chess player who's memorized your strategy. And this predictability is what keeps you trapped in the cycle where they withdraw, you pursue, they feel validated in their avoidance, and nothing ever changes. Because the pattern keeps confirming both of your roles in this dysfunctional dance where they're the distant one and you're the emotional one, and neither of you ever break character long enough to disrupt the system that's keeping you both stuck. This is the truth about dealing with avoidance that most advice gets wrong. Trying to communicate better, explain your feelings more clearly, or pursue harder doesn't work, because those responses are exactly what they expect and what their nervous system is designed to handle through more withdrawal and dismissal. Most relationship advice tells you to express your needs, communicate your hurt, or try to understand their perspective. But with avoidance, these conventional approaches often backfire because they feed into the dynamic the avoidant is comfortable with, your emotional pursuit of their distant withdrawal. The painful truth is that many women spend years trying to get avoidants to understand how their behavior hurts, not realizing that the avoidant already knows, and that your predictable emotional response is actually reinforcing their avoidant patterns, rather than challenging them. Hi, we'll talk about 7 power moves that confuse avoidants by disrupting their expectations and forcing them to experience the consequences of their behavior in ways they're not prepared to handle. Power move number 1. Give a short final response and then go quiet. Think of this power move like refusing to play the game they've set up. They hurt you expecting an emotional reaction that justifies their withdrawal. When you give none, the entire script they were following disappears. A simple "okay noted" is more unsettling than a 3-paragraph reaction. The long explanation, the emotional processing, the attempt to make them understand, all of this is what they expect, and what their nervous system knows how to handle. Through more distance and dismissal, but brief neutral acknowledgement, followed by silence. They have no script for that. It doesn't fit their narrative. It doesn't give them the emotional reaction that justifies their behavior. It doesn't create the drama that allows them to feel their distance was reasonable. The power is in what you're not doing. You're not chasing. You're not explaining. You're not trying to make them understand. You're not giving them the emotional intensity they were expecting, and that would allow them to maintain their role as the reasonable one dealing with an emotional person. The silence after the brief response is particularly powerful. It creates space where they expected noise. It leaves them with their own thoughts and behavior, rather than with your reaction to focus on. It shifts the discomfort from you processing their hurtful behavior, to them sitting with what they did without your emotional response to distract from it. This move works because avoidants are comfortable with your discomfort. They can handle you being upset, pursuing, explaining, because all of that confirms their worldview and gives them clear path forward, more withdrawal. But they're deeply uncomfortable when you're calm and distant, because that's their territory, and they don't know how to navigate it from the other side. The brief response shows you heard them, which prevents them from claiming you're ignoring or misunderstanding. But the lack of emotional content or follow-up pursuit denies them the reaction they were expecting, and that would allow them to continue their usual patterns. In practical terms, when they cancel plans last minute, disappear for days, or hurt you through their typical avoidant behavior, instead of the long text about how that made you feel, or the questions about why they did it, you send "okay noted," and then nothing. No follow-up, no checking in, no explaining what you meant, just silence. The noted is particularly effective because it implies you've registered the information and will be acting on it somehow. But you're not explaining how. This creates uncertainty for them. They don't know what you're thinking, planning, or how this will affect things. The uncertainty is uncomfortable for someone who thought they had your reactions figured out. From what I've seen, this power move is often the hardest for women to execute, because it requires restraining the urge to explain, to be understood, to make your case for why their behavior was hurtful. But that explanation is what feeds the cycle. The brevity and silence are what disrupt it. Power move number 2. Match their distance without emotion. Avoidants don't know how to process emotional equality. Their entire system is built on the dynamic where they're the distant one and you're the pursuing one. When you stop pursuing and become equally distant, the roles that define the relationship disappear, and they're left confused about how to navigate. The matching needs to be genuine neutrality rather than punishment for this to work. If you're withdrawing with anger, resentment, or the energy of "I'll show them," they'll sense the emotional charge and interpret it as the emotional reaction they expected, which allows them to maintain their narrative. But true neutrality, where you're simply matching their energy, because it's the appropriate response to their behavior, not because you're trying to manipulate them into chasing, is something they have no script for. It's not the emotional pursuit they expected, but it's also not emotional withdrawal that signals you're upset. It's just equal. This move works because avoidants are comfortable being the distant one in relationship with someone who pursues. That dynamic lets them maintain control and reinforces their worldview. But when they're distant and you're equally distant, there's no tension, no pursuit, no one trying to close the gap, just two people at the same distance, with no one playing the role they're used to. In practical terms, if they take 3 days to respond to your text, you take 3 days to respond to theirs. If they cancel plans, you don't immediately suggest alternatives or try to reschedule. You just accept the cancellation neutrally and make your own plans. If they're emotionally unavailable, you stop offering emotional availability and redirect that energy elsewhere. The key is that the matching is behavioral, not tactical. You're not calculating they took X time, so I'll take X time. You're genuinely adjusting your investment level to match what they're demonstrating they want. The matching happens naturally when you stop over-functioning in the relationship. This often activates avoidant anxiety in ways that pursuit never does. Pursuit they can handle through more withdrawal, but equal distance that triggers their abandonment fears without giving them a clear target. Your emotional pursuit to push against the equilibrium they were expecting never arrives. The neutrality is what makes this a power move rather than just another manipulation tactic. You're not trying to make them chase. You're simply refusing to be the only one invested in closing the distance they keep creating. Power move number 3. Don't ask why they did it. What if one of the most powerful moves is what you don't do? Don't ask why they did it, where your silence makes them question themselves, not you. Because when you don't give them the opportunity to explain, justify or rationalize their hurtful behavior, they're left alone with their actions and their conscience, without the relief of explaining it away. Think of not asking why, like refusing to offer them the platform they were expecting. Most people, when hurt, immediately ask, "Why did you do that?" or "What's going on?" These questions invite the avoidant to give explanations that let them off the hook and make you the one seeking understanding while they maintain control of the narrative. Your silence makes them question themselves, not you. When you don't ask why, when you don't seek explanation, when you simply register what happened and adjust accordingly, without giving them opportunity to explain it away, they're left with their own behavior and no one to explain it to. The questioning happens internally instead of externally. This is powerful because avoidants are very good at explaining their behavior in ways that make it seem reasonable. I needed space. I was overwhelmed. I wasn't ready. All explanations that sound valid and shift focus from their hurtful behavior to their needs and limitations. But when you don't ask for the explanation, they don't get to deliver it. They don't get the relief of making you understand. They don't get to frame the narrative in ways that protect them from accountability. They just have to sit with what they did and their own thoughts about it. The not asking also denies them the reassurance they're unconsciously seeking. Part of the pattern is they hurt you, then you pursue or question, then they explain, then you accept the explanation, and finally, they feel relieved of guilt and reassured that you'll stay. Breaking that pattern by not pursuing or questioning disrupts their path to reassurance. Your silence creates space for their conscience to operate without interference. When you're not questioning, explaining, or pursuing, they can't focus on managing your reaction. They have to face their own internal response to their behavior without external distraction. This move works particularly well with avoidants who have some level of self-awareness, the ones who know their behavior isn't okay, but rely on explanations to justify it. When those explanations are not requested, they're left with the uncomfortable awareness that what they did was wrong, and no one is asking them to make it okay. In practical terms, when they disappear for days and resurface, you don't ask, "Where were you?" or "Why didn't you text?" You just acknowledge their return neutrally and continue with your life. When they cancel plans, you don't ask what happened, or is everything okay? You just accept the cancellation. The lack of questioning speaks volumes. The message you're sending is your behavior spoke clearly enough. I don't need explanation. This is profoundly uncomfortable for someone who is prepared to explain, justify, and make you understand why their behavior was actually reasonable given their needs and limitations. The not asking also protects you from the manipulation that often comes in explanations. Avoidants are skilled at framing their hurtful behavior in ways that make you feel like you're being unreasonable for being hurt. By not asking, you don't give them opportunity to reframe the situation in ways that confuse you or make you doubt your own perspective. From what I've seen, this power move often leads to avoidants eventually offering explanation unprompted, because the lack of opportunity to explain is so uncomfortable that they seek it out. But by that point, the power dynamic has shifted. You didn't ask, they offered. You didn't pursue, they came to you. The dynamic is fundamentally different. By the way, if you want to finally understand what really blocked the commitment you wanted, or simply want peace of mind about whether it was ever actually possible, then you'll love our free quiz called "Did His Avoidance Prevent Him from Ever Fully Committing to You?" Because it not only gives you a clear answer about his avoidance, but it also shows you whether any strategy could have changed the outcome without confusion or false hope. When you understand which category he fell into, you can either adjust your approach with future partners, or recognize that you were fighting an unwinnable battle, and that his inability to commit was never actually about you, or your responses, but about his own profound limitations. So please check the link in the description to take the free quiz. This could finally give you clarity about whether different responses would have changed the outcome, or whether you were trying to win over someone who was never actually available for commitment. Power move number 4. Remove your attention, not your presence. The fourth power move is removing your attention but not your presence, where you're still polite and composed, just not accessible. Because this creates cognitive dissonance for the avoidant, who expected either pursuit, giving them both attention and presence, or dramatic withdrawal, giving them neither, which confirms you're too emotional. Think of this power move like being physically present, but emotionally and attentionally elsewhere. You haven't disappeared or cut them off, but the energy and focus that used to flow toward them has been redirected without announcement or drama. You're still polite and composed. If you interact, you're pleasant but brief. If you see them, you acknowledge them appropriately. You're not rude, not cold in an obvious emotional way, not punishing through over-hostility. Your demeanor is perfectly appropriate, but notably different, just not accessible. Your attention, energy, emotional investment, availability for deeper connection, all of this has been withdrawn. You're not offering your internal world. You're not seeking theirs. You're not creating opportunities for emotional intimacy. You're present in practical social ways, but absent in all the ways that actually create connection. This creates profound confusion because it doesn't fit either pattern they expected. You didn't disappear, which would confirm you're unstable and unreliable, but you also didn't pursue, which would confirm their distance was justified. You're there but not really there, present, but inaccessible, visible, but unavailable. The politeness is crucial, because it removes their ability to frame you as the emotional reactive one. You're completely composed, appropriate, even pleasant. There's no drama they can point to, no emotional outburst they can use to justify their behavior, just calm, polite distance. This move works because it forces them to notice what's missing, without giving them anything concrete to point to. Nothing has obviously changed in observable behavior, but everything has changed in energetic availability. They feel the absence, but can't quite articulate what's absent. In practical terms, you still attend the same social events. You still respond if they contact you, but briefly and without the energy you used to bring. You still fulfill any practical obligations, but you're no longer initiating, no longer offering emotional depth, no longer trying to create connection, no longer making them a priority in your internal world. Power move number 5. Set a boundary without emotion. Think of an emotionless boundary like a fence that simply exists. It's not angry at you for approaching it. It's not hurt that you tried to cross it. It's not explaining why it's there or seeking understanding. It just is, and it won't be crossed. I don't accept this behavior. The statement is simple, clear, and requires no elaboration. You're not explaining why their behavior is unacceptable. You're not listing the ways they hurt you. You're not seeking acknowledgement or apology. You're simply stating a fact. This behavior doesn't work for you. Firm plus calm makes their nervous system scrambles. Avoidants know how to handle emotional boundaries. Dismiss them. Wait them out. Frame the boundary setter as overreacting. But calm, emotionless boundaries that are stated as simple fact. They have no script for that. There's no emotional content to dismiss or react against. The firmness communicates this is non-negotiable. The calmness communicates you're not emotionally destabilized or seeking reaction from them. The combination creates a situation where they can't use their usual tactics. Dismiss your emotions. Wait for you to calm down and soften or withdraw until you chase them to restore connection. The power is in what you're not doing. You're not explaining or justifying. You're not seeking their understanding or agreement. You're not asking them to change. You're simply stating what you will and won't accept, and leaving them to decide how they want to proceed with that information. This scrambles their nervous system because avoidants use emotional reactions as confirmation that their distance is justified. When you're upset, pursuing, or emotional, they can maintain their narrative that you're too much and they need space. But when you're completely calm while setting firm boundaries, they have nothing to push against or use as justification. In practical terms, after they cancel plans last minute again, instead of expressing hurt or asking why, you say calmly, I don't make myself available to people who regularly cancel on me. You're welcome to reach out when your schedule is more reliable, and then you follow through by not being available next time they try to make plans until you see consistent change. The boundary must be enforced to have power. Stating it calmly, and then not following through, teaches them the boundary was just words. But when you state it calmly, and then actually adjust your behavior accordingly, no longer accepting last-minute plans, no longer prioritizing their schedule, no longer accommodating their inconsistency, the boundary becomes real. The calmness is what makes this a power move rather than just boundary setting. Emotional boundaries delivered with anger, hurt, or frustration give them something to react to. Calm boundaries give them nothing to work with except the choice to respect the boundary, or lose access. From what I've seen, calm boundaries are often the only kind that actually work with avoidance because emotional boundaries can be dismissed as overreaction. But calm boundaries are undeniable facts about what you will and won't participate in, leaving them to make informed choices about their behavior. Power move number 6. Don't announce distance, just create it. The 6th power move is about action over words. Don't announce distance, just create it. Where avoidants react to behavior, not speeches, and your shift speaks louder than any intention, because announcing your withdrawal gives them opportunity to manage, manipulate, or talk you out of it. But simply becoming distant without announcement leaves them dealing with reality, rather than negotiating about intentions.